Hi everybody, and welcome to another video today in conjunction with Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, the book that's just come out. And today we are dedicated a full day for fibroids. I think that's something that a lot of women are experiencing. In fact, interestingly, African-American women tend to have a lot more problems with fibroids and have a tendency to developing them as compared to Caucasian women. However, I've come across plenty of Caucasian women who also have fibroid issues. The good news about fibroids is that they are not carcinogenic, right? So that's the good news about that, and you don't need to worry that it is cancer. What I think we should consider is the fact that it is a sign of estrogen dominance, right? And on top of that, a lot of women who have fibroid issues will experience things like pain in uterus, painful sex. Some of you can even feel it. You might be having very heavy periods, and none of that is ever okay, and never, it's just really compromises the quality of your life. So today we want to talk about fibroids. I'm going to be showing you today a really, really simple uterine oil pack recipe that's from the book. And if you have the book already, it's on page 353 right here. This is what I'm going to be demoing today. And the cool thing is we've got some really nice content lined up for you the rest of today. We're also going to be having an expert interview with Dr. Marisol Tejero, who is the castor oil goddess, queen. And she is going to be talking to us about the incredible benefits of castor oils, how to apply them on the liver, how do you apply them on the uterus, because, in a context of fibroids, this really is going to really benefit you. So tune in for that later this afternoon, but if you can't watch it live, that's okay. What we're going to do is we are posting all the videos that we are making in the launch of the book on overcomingestrogendominance.com/events, right? And you can get all the replays of previous days and from today. Give us typically a day or two to upload a video for replay. So for those of you who are watching this for the first time, my new book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, is dedicated to women with estrogen problems, estrogen dominance issues, and symptoms of which include, of course, fibroids. That's why I'm talking about it here today, but also things like any irregularities with your period. So many of those are linked to estrogen dominance, such as very heavy periods, lack of periods, sporadic periods, irregular periods, but also fibrocystic and lumpy breasts. And we had a whole day just talking about that. Women who have a lot of fat stored around their hips and thighs that just wouldn't go away can be due to estrogen dominance. Thyroid nodules and thyroid cancer, but also estrogenic cancers like breast cancer, or specifically the estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, as well as uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, thyroid cancer, lung cancer in non-smokers is another form of estrogen dominance. So quite a long list of symptoms. And you tell me, is there a woman in your life who who hasn't experienced one of those? It's a very personal story for me. I've struggled with estrogen dominance for most of my life, and it took me a while to really figure it out. And I wrote a book about it because I felt like there isn't enough conversation around it, and there's not enough resources all being put together into one place to really show you how to overcome this hormonal imbalance, which really I find that compared to, for example, having Hashimoto's disease or PCOS, it's a lot easier as a hormonal imbalance to kind of get your body back on track as compared to the other ones, okay? So, also, let me not forget, we're doing a book giveaway today, and in this particular video, if you're watching live. So we're gonna be giving this book to anyone who answers my question correctly. So sometime through the middle, maybe of this call, I'm gonna then ask you a question or something that I've been talking about, and whoever gets it right, my team will select the winner of that. Okay, so why don't we get going? I want to show you really, it's a super simple recipe. We're going to be using a couple of things. Castor oil I'm using castor oil that is in a glass bottle. I'm using that from organic castor oil from Queen of Thornes. And my team is going to post the link. You can see where to get this from. And then the second ingredient is going to be quick magnesium. The reason why I'm using magnesium is because magnesium is incredibly relaxing. And so this can be really, part of the reason why the uterus is really struggling and there's in so much pain is because there is also a lot of constraint when it comes to, and blockage when it comes to fibroids. And so magnesium is gonna really help you relax this. So let's get going. The recipe calls for a quarter of a cup. So basically that tells you it's a 1-to-1 ratio. For demo purposes, I'm just gonna use a tablespoon of each because I just wanna show you how this works. We don't necessarily need to make the whole recipe. And you can always do that and always in small amounts to just test it out and see how that helps you. Now, castor oil is just pretty incredible. And we're going to talk about all the benefits of that with Dr. Marisol today, later this afternoon. And one of the incredible things about it is that it's incredibly anti-inflammatory. And she's going to talk about it, the prostaglandin, which are inflammatory compounds in the body, and there are some inflammatory ones and there are others that are highly protective. So what castor oil does is it really stimulates the PG2, which is highly anti-inflammatory. The other thing that castor oil does is an incredible mover. So think of it this way. Did you know that if you drink just a tablespoon of castor oil, it's going to give you a massive diarrhea. It's going to give you a real bowel movement, okay? So I don't encourage you to drink it. There should be other ways for you to go to the bathroom. And if you're constipated, that's a separate topic altogether, which I also addressed in the book, by the way, because if you're constipated, you will be having a lot of hormonal problems. You're not evacuating hormones. All these hormones are being recycled back into your body. Not a good thing. But the other thing that castor oil does is, when it comes to moving, it moves a lot of toxins out as well. You can induce labor in a pregnant woman by getting her to drink castor oil. That's just how powerful it is. The other reason why I find it so fascinating to use castor oil is that, excuse me, it is the deepest penetrating oil amongst all the oils. I love jojoba oil and almond oil and olive oil and all these coconut oil. All these oils are really great. Shea butter is just really wonderful as carrier oils. But when you combine it, and that's one of the things you will see in the book, a lot of the recipes always have an element of castor oil in it. And the reason is that it is so deeply penetrating. It's as compared to any other oils it will deliver. For example, for recipes, they use some essential oils in it. If you want those essential oils to really get into different parts of the body, castor oil is just a wonderful way of delivering. And we're going to be talking with Dr. Marisol later today on why the bottle is so important and all that kind of good stuff. So then what happens is, and the book here mentions that you can use, how do you wear it, right? So we're going to be using, there's a couple of options. So the traditional way is you're using those wool flannels. And, I've had them for years. This is a nice new one. And this is definitely an option. So what you're going to then do is put the oil on the pack, right? Put it on your abdomen, right? So it's a bit different from your liver. The liver is on the right side, right? So this time around, we were working on the uterus. So you put it here and then wrap yourself up. The challenge I find with this for years, and that's part of the reason why I personally never really stuck with castor oil packs in the long term, is because I always find that like the whole process of wrapping yourself up and things leaking and you moving around and things moving with you, and then you mess up the whole bed and bed sheets and your clothes and all that. I never really liked it. And so when I met Dr. Marisol and she showed me her castor oil packs, which is just really such a simple but absolutely genius solution to the issue. On this side here is beautiful cotton, organic cotton. On this side here, she's using a vegetable cellulose. And so it feels like plastic, but it's not plastic. And, this is one that I just washed. You want to wash it every month or so. And I washed it in my washing machine alone without any other clothes and put it on hot water. And it just does a really wonderful job of removing all the oil. It actually feels like brand new. And this one is a washed one. I've used it for probably the past 6 months or so. So then next thing you're going to do really is we're going to be putting these 2 tablespoons. And really that is the recommended dosage is for your uterus. 2 tablespoons is just more than sufficient. for you to, then you just spread it. You want to keep it in the middle, not too close to the seams, because then it's going to start leaking. And then, of course, I'm not going to demo the full thing because I don't want to have it on my clothes here. But on the inside, that's when you apply it on your uterus, right? And use these cute little strings right behind to tie it up, and you go to bed with that. Now, do you use heat on that? That's one of the common questions. You can, you don't have to. I'm going to be sharing later this afternoon about my personal experience with castor oils and how incredibly moving they were, something that I didn't really expect for them to work as much as they did. But, yeah, so that's a really, really that is it for the urine pack. Now, like with everything, actually, one of the things, Brittany, one of the things in Gene, what we can do is pose the questions on the screen, whatever questions are coming on. And in a second, I'm also going to talk about some of the supplements you can add on for fibroids that can be really, really effective. So why don't we dive into some questions, and I can actually see them on the screen. And did she say 2 tablespoons of castor oil? No. So Lara is asking, so I actually use 1 tablespoon of castor oil, and then I use 1 tablespoon of quick magnesium, the liquid form of magnesium, that's magnesium chloride. That's the kind of magnesium that you find in the Dead Sea in Israel. That's pretty amazing. And people go on vacations there and come back and they say, my heart problems are gone, my pains and aches are gone, I'm sleeping again. It's topical magnesium can be quite amazing. We use it more for topical applications, like if you have pains and body aches, if you're having PMS, that's also can be really helpful. One of the many questions we always get is, can I use this when I have PMS or when I'm menstruating? And so one of the I think, incorrect myths and incorrect assumptions that since castor oil is such a big mover, then when you have your period, it's going to make your period a lot heavier. So if you're having very heavy periods, I probably would not recommend this, but I talked to Dr. Marisol about this. And by the way, she's a naturopath. And one of the things that she said is that if you have normal period, then actually putting a castor oil pack on, whether it's with or without the magnesium, on your uterus is just going to shed off, the uterus lining, right? And that's what the period is, just a lot faster. So you might be having a slightly heavier period, but then finish the period earlier too. So it's just basically, instead of doing 4 days, you might be done with your period in 2.5 days. And I certainly have tried it on myself, and I never really experienced any terrible period, any bleeding, any like terrible bleeding. It felt just slightly heavier, but not to a point of being concerned. All right, what other questions do we have? Faye is asking, why does it give relief to fibroids? Does it make them shrink? So yes, it can. One of the things that happens with fibroids is that there's a lot of inflammation that's going on in the abdomen, and what happens is that the abdomen is highly inflamed, or the uterus is highly inflamed, and because of the prostaglandin properties of castor oil, it can really help to bring the inflammation down and reduce it further. So yeah, and then magnesium is also a great mover. My period has, Jennifer saying, my period has stopped and I'm trying to restart it. Will this help? Yes, it can. And also, Jennifer, there is a section in the book. Let me just tell you which chapter, if you don't have the book yet, which is basically your amenorrhea, absent periods, and it's on page 186. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is it's some of the herbs that you can bring in to really jumpstart your period. And so this one here, this is the chapter here. It's in chapter 13. And so there's a bunch of some really nice herbs here, including emmenagogues. Emmenagogues bring the blood flow to the uterus. So not recommended when you have fibroids, because you don't want to be bringing any more blood flow to the fibroid. And so those would be like donquai, mugwort, motherwort, ginger. And then we have hormone modulators like chaseberry, donquai, licorice, and so there's a few others as well. Just to tell you the power of herbs, is we went on a herbal walk one time when we were during our botanical classes, and I just finished my ovulation, right? So and I'm very regular, so I don't have like periods all over the place. And we were given Motherwort to try, and we experienced Motherwort. And so I took a few leaves back home with me. I infused it on a hot water, made a tea at night. I woke up in the middle of the night with a full-on period. So that's how powerful Motherwort was to bring on period for me. So anyway, let's see what other questions we actually. Could you add essential oils to that? Yes, you could, definitely. And the other thing you could do is, and we're going to be talking about this later today. I've got a video, I'm going to reading from the book, and I'm going to be talking about some of the herbs that you can bring in that really constrict the blood flow to the fibroid as well. And that could be another really great solution to add on to your protocol too. Many of you have been asking about supplements. I'm going to do the second part of the video in a second. I'm going to do about supplements that can really help fibroids too. I've heard that clary sage is good for female issues. Would it be appropriate to add that to the mixture? It certainly wouldn't harm. Clary sage, and I did a demo, I think it was a few days ago. I'm just like totally blurred now, right now, what day was what, when. We've had so many videos that we are releasing now. There was a look for the day with PMS. And so clary sage and lavender and rose are the three that have been actually studied in a study. There was actually a medical study conducted on girls who've got dysmenorrhea and PMS. And they concluded that clary sage, lavender, and rose in that combination was very helpful with was as effective as I think they did Advil or Tylenol, one of those. So really a really great one too. So that certainly you can add it to this. And the other thing is, you guys, I also showed the other day, if you're interested in that, is the PMS salve. And so there is a video also on how to make the PMS salve from the book that exactly uses what you're asking about, clary sage, lavender. I didn't put rose in because rose is an extremely expensive oil. And so that's not included, but you can always add it in if you like. Deborah is saying, are fibroids and polyps similar, and would it help those as well? So that's a great question. They are not the same. They are similar, and they look very different. Polyps look almost like polyp. How do you explain a polyp? It's like a growth, but it's not as big and swollen as a fibroid would be. I want to give you a quick example of how powerful not just doing castor oil packs, but just even changing your diet can be. So many years ago, when I first started out my practice, I had an assistant who is someone like I would never hire today to join our team. And the reason why I say that is because she wasn't really believing in what I was teaching. And this is contrary to my whole team today. Like, we really live this stuff, right? And I think it's really important to have a team like that. So anyway, so she was kind of skeptical, but she was working for me because, I guess, it was just a job. And then one day she comes to me and she says, listen, I was fine to have polyps, uterine polyps. And my OBGYN says, I got to remove my uterus. Now, she was past her reproductive years. She's had 2 grown-up kids. So that was not a big deal for her, theoretically. But because she was a doula, and a birthing expert, she had some inclination towards natural ways of mitigating things. And she says, I really like to hold on to my uterus. And I don't know about you, but it's like, I think because most of Western medicine is based on men's advice, it's like they render certain organs useless for women, such as breasts. Can you live without breasts? Yeah, sure. I mean, can we live without a uterus? For sure. Gallbladder, the same thing, right? But the quality of life becomes the question. And it is also, I think for a lot of women, it's a very energetic thing. It's part of being a woman. And so the uterus also, you might argue, is also a place of storing a lot of emotions. A lot of our creativity comes from the uterus. So a lot of women wouldn't want to lose it. And so she came to me and she says, what do I do? And I said, hey, look, you know what I teach. You just don't follow it. But if you just follow just a tiny bit of the stuff that I teach, just see what happens. And so she didn't embark on the entire protocol that's in the book, right? But she kind of picked and chose what she felt comfortable with. And that's okay too. Like I think she cut out, and by the way, she wrote a whole article about that for us because it was an incredibly emotional article. And Brittany and Jean, if you guys can put out that article, that will be great. It's about the testimony that she wrote, her story. And you really, in that story, you will read that she gave up gluten, she minimized dairy, she reduced sugar, right? So a lot of the inflammation. And bottom line of it all is that she went back to her OBGYN 3 months later. One of the polyps completely disappeared, and the other one shrank so much so that a doctor told her to only come back in 6 months' time for another scan. So, that's really what the power of changing the diet can really be so powerful, right? And you don't have to just do like castor oil packs. I mean, I think if you do it in conjunction with a lot of other things, it can really be super powerful. So yes, the estrogen reset, or the overcoming estrogen dominance and the estrogen reset, the protocol that I've created will absolutely help that, Deborah. Sorry, it's a long answer, but I think you guys would enjoy the story. Christine is asking, can one be less concerned about fibroids after menopause? No, I wouldn't be. So the reason why I say that is because, we think that, well, in menopause, I don't produce that much estrogen, right? So that estrogen shouldn't be feeding anything in the uterus or causing any problems. But Christine, if you think about it, the women who have the highest levels of, like if you look at the demographic that has breast cancer, estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, those are women 55 and above. 55, 75 is the window, right? Now, these women many of them already in perimenopause or menopause, yet they get the cancer. So would it be a less concern? To me, a fibroid is just your body's way of signaling, saying, hey, I've got a bit of a problem here. I'm not dealing with this estrogen very, very well. And hence it's going towards the fibroid and it grows the tissue in the fibroid. And so, if it was me who had it, I'll do everything I can, not just to shrink the fibroid, but to address estrogen dominance so that you don't go down the path of developing something more severe. And, I mentioned in the beginning, this is very personal work for me. If you ask me what is my biggest fear in life, for some reason, it's to get estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. And I have dads on both sides of my family who died from estrogenic cancers, ovarian, uterine, breast. I carry the genes on both sides of my family that predisposed me to being an incredibly slow estrogen metabolizer. So, especially if you have the genes for that, Christina, I don't know what your genes are. I don't know if you know what they are. I'll be super careful and really work on this, as soon as you can. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. The giveaway, okay? And so the giveaway question is, let's see, since we are talking about cancers here, are fibroids carcinogenic? Okay, are fibroids carcinogenic? I'm actually feeling like I want to ask 2 questions today. So we're going to do 2 book giveaways. How about that? Since it's a party and it's a Monday, and so let's make Monday a favorite day of the week with this launch. So the second question I have for you is, what is the hormonal imbalance that causes the growth of fibroids? What is the hormonal imbalance that causes the growth of fibroids? Okay, so I'm going to put this away for just a second. And many of you have been asking us the question about, what do you do for supplements? I'm just going to do a quick mention because we do have some really nice ones for fibroids as well that you can really put together with the castor oil packs. I think it's just a wonderful solution. So there's a couple. There is this thing in the store we have called Fibro Kit. Brittany, if you can share the screen of that. Fibro Kit basically is a kit that contains 3 supplements, and the first one is Broca Power. It's sulforaphane together with DIM. So actually, let me talk about the first one, which is Fibro Support. So that's the green one on the right side on the screen. Now, Fibro Support is a really phenomenal formulation that includes enzymes. One of them is derived from natto plant. Natto, who here has been to Japan? Have you ever had natto before? It's very slimy. It's very savory. It's a fermented form of soy. and it's just really quite amazing. And so so we have enzymes that come from netozine that is in here, and the second one is cerezyme, which are protease enzymes. And what happens with these enzymes is they have this incredible ability of shrinking fibroids. Really, really fascinating. The reason why we put this in a kit is because, and so the kit also contains the other two that you can see here, which is DIM and sulforaphane, and we call sulforaphane Broca Power. The reason why we put them together in a kit is because they both help you to metabolize estrogen in a really powerful way. DIM upregulates your phase 1 liver detoxification. Broca Power upregulates your phase 2 liver detoxification to get rid of those excess estrogen. So really quite a powerful combo. On one hand, you're metabolizing that estrogen, so you're stopping that estrogen, that excess estrogen, the dirty estrogens from coming into your and feeding the fibroid, growing the tissue in a fibroid. But on the other hand, you have the fibro support, which quickly then shrinks the fibroid with these enzymes chomping down on the fibroid tissue. Really, really nice combo. One other thing that we often talk about is magnesium too. So Brittany, if we can remove that screen and just go back to me. So there is a couple of magnesium products that we have in our store called Mag Replenish and Magnesium Replenish and Mag Energy. Magnesium malate and magnesium glycinate, those are the most bioavailable forms of magnesium. You know, almost every woman I know is deficient in magnesium in some way or another. If you crave chocolate, if you're having a lot of, if you are cramping up a lot, you go to bed and your leg is like, if you have restless leg syndrome, if you're constipated on a regular basis, if you're having heart palpitations can be due to a lot of other reasons, but that's one of the symptoms of magnesium deficiency. You're craving chocolate like crazy, right? And so those are some of the symptoms of low magnesium. And what we have found is that just really with, I'm going to be talking about the foundational supplements for estrogen dominance in the coming days, but that's one of the really beautiful things about magnesium is that it, same as what we did with the topical magnesium that we applied in here on this compress, right? You can also take magnesium internally, and that will not only work on the uterus alone, but just overall your detoxification pathways. It helps your cardiovascular health. It helps you to stay calm and focused. It helps you with sleep. I mean, the benefits of magnesium are insane, really. Okay, so that's really what I have for our fibroids for today. Let's pop a few other questions before we wrap up. Jennifer is asking, I might have missed it, but how do you know if you have fibroids symptoms? Okay, so let's talk about symptoms in the coming in the evening. I've got a reading session, Jennifer, and the biggest ones is, I mean, getting diagnosed with, you basically get a sonogram, and typically women get that when they suspect they have it is when they have very heavy periods, when there's discomfort in the uterus, when you're having sex, when there is just pain, especially around like one side more so than the other. Those are some of the reasons to go and get it checked out. Nadine is asking, will a supplement kit help with both breast fibroids and uterine fibroids? So on the breast, we call it fibrocystic breast, or those are more cysts. They are slightly different from fibroids. And so the enzyme, specifically the fibro support, Nadine, it's not so much for the breast, it's for the uterus specifically. Definitely, we have actually a breast health kit. If you go to wellena.com, our website, and look at the kits, there is a whole kit for breast health, and I believe we have magnesium in there, and then we also have Broca Power as well as DIM for estrogen detoxification. One of the other things you can actually use also for breast, Nadine, and we had somebody who just shared the other day that she had a double mastectomy. Oh, there we go. That's she had a double mastectomy, and that created a lot of inflammation, a lot of pain. So it wasn't lumpy breast itself, but I just want to show you the power of castor oil. And what she did was she used this compact, the compress, and she put it over her breast, right? She infused it with castor oil. She put it on her breast. And she said literally within hours, her whole swelling inflammation just came down. So it's pretty amazing. So in my book, if you don't have it yet, it's one of the chapters talks about, actually, I have a whole chapter on fibrocystic breast. And there's a lot of things you can do. Putting castor oil is one thing, putting progesterone is another. There's a different herbs that can really help with that as well. Will this work without adding the magnesium? Yes, it would. So magnesium is totally optional. Okay. Do we have any other questions, Brittany, that we want to, Jean, that we want to put? Alex is saying, when is the castor oil pack not recommended for the body? Yeah, so pregnancy, for sure. You know, I don't work with lactating women, so we can ask that question, Dr. Marisol, today. Anyone who is having severely heavy periods, I would not recommend it, because you don't want to be adding to that blood flow to be even a further mover. However, you know, there's herbs that you can use for heavy periods. They really constrict the flow of the blood to the uterus, and then basically lower so the period is not so heavy. So once you fix that, then you can use the castor oil after that. Trisha is saying, can we use the compress to stay healthy? No fibroids or issues, just to stay healthy. Absolutely, Trisha. And we're going to be, thank you for the question. So one of the things that I do is the 7 on, 7 off method. And so I use the castor oil, the compress. I have like 3 of them. I rotate and I will put it over my liver. So let me just do it the other way around, because I don't want to get the oil on my shirt. But it's basically you put it over your liver, of course, without the shirt, and you go to sleep with it. And I have found that to be incredibly effective. I used to do the flannel oil, the flannels with the oil, and then, you know, put it on my liver, put a hot pack on top, stay there, like read a book or watch a movie or something over an hour or two. And I never honestly got really like any significant results to really encourage me to keep going, versus the mess that you are creating, you know. Excuse me. And that's what I really loved about the convenience of the compress, and using your own body heat, especially when you're sleeping, as you are covered up and there's warmth from your own body, and using it with a little bit of warmth, but also over extended period of time, right? So the 8 hours that you're in bed or so, I have found that to give a lot more better results, as in doing it just for an hour or two with a hot pack over it. Vida is saying, I've heard you should not be using castor oil packs having gallbladder issues. Could you please comment on that? That is not true. There is no reason not to use that. In fact, gallbladder, I mean, the only thing you shouldn't be doing with gallbladder is just chugging down oil, right, excessively. But there's no, there's so many things out there on the internet that's kind of crazy. We've had so many women use castor oil packs, and I know Dr. Marisol has like an entire community following her, and gallbladder has never been an issue. So no, I don't think that is true. Karen saying, I have large fibroids, feeling like I'm getting my estrogen dominance under control. Can I shrink my uterus back to normal? Absolutely, Karen. So that's what I was sharing with like the polyps as well. And, you know, women in our community have reported often how their fibroids have disappeared so much so that the doctors are telling them to come back in 1 year's time. So that is absolutely correct. So think of it this way, you guys. Excess estrogen, so estrogen dominance is really not about having too much estrogen, right? It's how you're breaking down those estrogens that matters. And it's those dirty estrogens that get metabolized in the liver. That's why the liver packs, doing a lot of liver supporting herbs and bitters and stuff like that. There's a whole chapter in the book on just how to support your liver, can really help you produce more of the clean estrogens that are supportive, that make you a woman and make you feel good and think and look great, right? But also it minimizes the dirty estrogens. And guess what? The dirty estrogens are the ones that are causing the growth of the fibroid tissue, okay? So what you're doing is effectively when you follow our protocol, the estrogen reset protocol, you're basically cutting the supply. So basically stop adding fuel to the fire. It's really as simple as that, right? No fuel, no fire. So yes. Letty saying, for how long do you recommend to take supplements, and how often do you use a castor oil pack? So how often the supplements? I would get, I mean, our supplements are all designed for 2 months supply, and I would say that that's a good time to use it. And within this 2 months, you should really have a great result in shrinking the fibroids. How often do I use, how often to use the castor oil pack? So, you know, if you talk to Dr. Marisol, she will say, if you can, do it every night. And there's other people, I feel like I like to take a break instead of doing things the same way every day. And I do the same thing with supplements. I don't take my supplements every day. I do them for a month and then take a week break and then do it again. With, this is just my personal choice. I do 7 days on and 7 days off. And I have like a little app that tells me that. And, you know, that's just my way of managing it. But you can't overdo it. If that's your concern, Letty, you cannot overdo castor oil. Kati is saying, should you do it if you're trying to get pregnant? When you're pregnant, certainly not. If you're trying to get pregnant and making sure you're not pregnant yet, this would actually help. I mean, the whole purpose of doing castor oil packs is to help your liver, right? I mean, that's the other big application of castor oils is you put it over the liver. And the whole idea is for you to detoxify your estrogens correctly. And guess what? One of the protocols that we have in the book here is for fertility and addressing miscarriages. So preparing your body for that. So, you know, I don't see that a reason why not, but just making sure that you don't do that while pregnant. Karen is saying, I love the castor oil packs, have been a game changer for me. Thank you for sharing. Karen, tell us what has changed for you using the castor oil packs. I always like to hear that part because the answers vary so vastly. Some women just say they sleep a lot better. Others say that their whole, their bowel movement is completely different. And I will be asking Dr. Marisol today to talk about our poop, how to use poop as a diagnostic tool. I think this is a really interesting topic. A lot of people are kind of really shy about it. And it's really important to know, you guys, because it's a diagnostic tool. So we're going to be talking about that. So tell us, Karen. I'm very curious. Okay, so you can get the castor oil packs on the link. Can we just post the bit.ly link, you guys, and in the comments? And so, you know, if you want to get the whole Queen of Thrones pack, I think it includes the castor oil itself in a glass, and there's a reason why she has it in the glass. We're going to talk about it later today. It's got the compress, and I think it also has a facial mask that she's using for your eyes. The link is there. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here today. Happy Monday. And also one other thing I forgot to mention, that when you go to get the book on overcomingestrogendominance.com, there is a special gift card we have for you because it's a party. So go in there and then get the book on Amazon, or if you're international, then get the book in our store, come back, enter the receipt number, and we will send you the code for our gift card. All right, thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you for your lovely questions, and I'll see you later in the day.